Welcome to Surf Studio. Surf Life Saving is filled with so many fantastic people and inspiring stories, and Surf Studio is designed to share some of these stories from across the country and across all areas of lifesaving. This week, as part of National Volunteer Week, we are taking the opportunity to acknowledge all life-saving volunteers, as well as showcase a few more of our inspiring members. We begin today's show by hearing from Surf Life Saving Australia's President, Graham Ford AM, who pays tribute to all life-saving volunteers and provides some insight into his own beginnings and career in surf life saving. We fly into the Westpac Lifesaver Rescue Helicopter Base in Sydney to chat with the crew who recently rescued 2 men from a sinking boat off the coast of Curl in New South Wales. We head to Nobby's Beach Surf Life Saving Club on the Gold Coast to talk with Nick Marshall, founder of the award-winning Albatross Nippers program. Then finally, we head to Victoria, where we catch up with Michael Henderson, Club Captain of Fairhaven Surf Life Saving Club, who talks us through a successful rescue, for which he won a meritorious award, and the importance of volunteering in this rescue.
And a very special guest on Surf Studio today, we welcome SLSA President Graham Ford. He's also the Patrol Captain of Patrol 10 down at Bronte. Graham, so lovely to have you on the show with us today. Graham, tell us how you came to be involved in lifesaving.
Well, it's a pretty simple answer. It's through my children. I lived at Bronte with Trish, my wife. We have 5 children, 4 daughters and a son. Bronte is our local beach. We surfed there from the early 1970s, and in Trish's case, she was born in Bronte, so she's a Bronte girl, and we wanted to make sure that when our children went down to the beach that they can look after themselves. And that's where the journey started, well over 30 years ago.
It's a long way from nipper parent to president of SLSA. Can you tell us more about the volunteer roles that you held on your journey?
Where it all started was that they needed some volunteers to do water safety for the nippers. So on a Sunday morning, myself and other parents would help out with water safety. And then they needed some help at the different local carnivals. So we went along to the local carnivals as water safety, to the branch and to the New South Wales championships. And we did that for a number of years. And then a group of us went and did our QC. So we did our QC and hopped on the beach to do some patrols in between doing water safety. And then 2 years later, the group of us did our bronze medallion. And I guess that's where the real journey starts for me, because when I went onto the beach, I was asked to be a patrol captain at Patrol 10 on a Sunday morning, which I did. And then I just helped look after the juniors, transitioning from nippers through to the senior club, cadets and juniors. And a couple of years later, they asked me to be the club captain. And I held that role for 3 years before becoming president of Bronte Surf Club in 2000, a position which I held for 11 years. So how did I get to become Surf Life Saving Australia President? In the mid-2000s, I was asked to join the Board of Development of Surf Life Saving Australia, and we were developing policies around youth, diversity and leadership, as well as environment. And so I got really strongly involved in that group and the Board of Development. And in 2010, I was encouraged to put my name forward to be considered as President of Surf Life Saving Australia, and that's what's happened. So that journey really from nipper parent over 30 years ago through to President of Surf Life Saving Australia has been quite extraordinary for me and for my family. And now we have 13 grandchildren. And I can't think of anything better than being on the beach with my wife Trish, my son and daughters, and now I've got my grandchildren who are patrolling. So it's a real family affair for us.
Graham, with all of the roles that you've held, what was it that kept you saying yes and taking on more responsibility in lifesaving?
I guess for me, it's probably something that the values that my grandfather instilled in me. And I mean, everything we do in surf life saving, we do as a team. It's all about community service. We choose to do that. We don't get paid for it. And his edict was that we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And I guess that's been one of my fundamental core values to my family. And I'm really passionate about the organisation. I'm very fortunate that I travel around the country. I've been on patrols in just about all the states. It's that same spirit that's within our surf lifesavers, that volunteer spirit and community service, that's what I'm so passionate about. And to think with 176,000 volunteer members, quite extraordinary. So I feel very attached to them, and I'm very passionate about our organisation and what we do on the beach.
This week is National Volunteers Week, and with Surf Life Saving being the largest volunteer organisation in the country, that must make you really proud knowing that there are so many people volunteering their time to keep our beaches and our coastline safe.
It's just fantastic that this week we're celebrating volunteers around the country and their contribution to society. And I think of our 176,000 volunteer members that we have in our organisation. We are the largest volunteer organisation in the country, and an amazing contribution they make to community. I'm proud of them, as we all are, and I'd like to congratulate them and thank them for their service.
Graham, with your young grandchildren now being involved in lifesaving, what do you hope that they take from their time in the community?
Probably that same sense of community service. But I've got to say, for me, and it's been the case all the way through, I think most of the children come into Nippers and then progress through into the senior club, see the club as their second home. It's a place where they're safe. It's a place where they can engage with the local community, and they're not afraid to talk to older people like myself. And it's a real spirit of family. And I think that's the thing which is quite unique about our organisation. To think that I can be on the beach and have my grandchildren patrolling alongside me is quite extraordinary.
What's something that you're really proud of when you look back at the history of lifesaving in Australia?
Well, what I'm proud about, first of all, is the history. If you think what an extraordinary organisation, and to think that all those people who gave so much over so many years have helped be the foundation of Surf Life Saving Australia and our current membership. But I'm very proud to have the representation of women in the organisation, and I've been a big advocate for that. It was only 1980 where women were allowed to come into the organisation as patrolling members. Back in the war years, they patrolled and the men were off serving. And so I'm very big on ensuring that women who are in our organisation, 45% of Surf Life Saving Australia, they've got the opportunities to develop in the leadership roles. And I think that's reflected also on our Surf Life Saving Australia board. We have 3 women on our board, and they're there because of their skill set, because they really are quite extraordinary. And I think that this movement has survived because of women coming into the organisation in the 1980s.
And a big Surf Studio thank you to Graham Ford, President of SLSA, dropping by to celebrate National Volunteers Week with us.
We're just here at the headquarters of the Westpac helicopter service. We've got Hayden Cyril, Trevor Cracknell, and Peter Yates with us here from the service. Thanks for joining us today, gents.
Pleasure, mate.
Gentlemen, tell us a bit about the rescue that you recently did off South Curl. Hayden, would you like to tell us a little bit about that rescue?
Yep, no worries. We got the AMSAR call in the afternoon. We loaded the life raft in the AMSAR flare box into the aircraft, and we took off to locate the search area to locate the overturned vessel. At that point in time, we didn't know the vessel was overturned. We didn't have much information on it. We arrived on scene, and pretty much straight away we located the vessel with one person clinging onto the top of the boat, waving around his life jacket, and another one in the water holding onto an esky. We came around our search pattern and started getting ready to winch down. We winched down first. We picked up the person holding onto the esky. No one seemed to be injured at that point in time. The boat was going down pretty quickly. So we winched the person holding onto the esky out of the waterway, winched him back up, put him in his seatbelt, and winched back down and grabbed the other person off the top of the boat.
And Peter, with this rescue for you spotted the patients and the boat. It's obviously a lot easier to spot while there's something floating in the ocean.
Yeah, well, that was only a metre, the bow was only a metre above the water, so there wasn't a lot of boat to look for. What was the benefit was that they had an EPIRB that had a GPS, but they turned it on before the boat sank, and Canberra called us with a Latin long, so I had something to work with. When I actually got there, I couldn't hear the beacon because it was underwater. So it was very lucky that that they had the beacon with GPS and they got it activated. So that put me into a search area. So they're accurate to about 4 miles. So when we hit the 4 mile mark from the lat and long, I said to the crew, it's time to start searching, and very shortly after that I just saw something in the distance. It looked a bit more like a buoy with a flag on it, and as we got closer we worked out that it was actually a person on the bow waving his life jacket.
And how far ashore was the rescue?
At least 5 miles.
Is that common?
Yeah, there's a fishing area out there, so you'll see quite a lot of boats in that sort of line running up and down the coast. But from a boat you wouldn't see them, because you can't see that far ahead when you're actually on water, at water level.
Life. Trevor, growing up in Maroubra Surf Club as a nipper and a life member of Maroubra Surf Club, what does surf lifesaving mean to you?
Oh, I think it was fantastic coming up through surf lifesaving. Traditionally we'll do different types of jobs, but I think you look at H here, he's a big wave surfer. He's come up through surf lifesaving. His dad was a champion Ironman. I think it's a really good DNA for us to have as rescue swimmers. Not to say that we don't go up the mountains and do winches and that type of thing, but the beauty of that is that I think what we're prepared for through surf lifesaving is we go out into some of these conditions and it's not a real worry to us. You know what I mean? We'll go into those conditions and we can do the job. We can think straight when there's a 8 to 10 foot swell and that type of stuff. And I think most of the crew here, all of us have had the DNA of surf lifesaving, and I think that's the difference for us, for all of our aquatic type work. And I've seen it's proved itself time and time again. In saying that though, there may be a time that I'll go out and I'll say, mate, I'm not winching into those conditions. And that's our safety system that comes into it, our risk assessment and that type of thing. There's not a lot of jobs this machine can't do, but there's going to be that one job we'll go, no, this is too dangerous, we're not going to do it. And we'll try and think of another way of doing it, that type of thing. And that's always in the back of our mind. We never go out from here. There's always that chance. It may be too tough for us and we'll knock that job back. But like I said, it doesn't happen that often. They're so efficient. It's such an efficient bit of gear with the crew we operate.
It's one of the longest sponsorships of a not-for-profit or rescue organisation. What does Westpac mean to the service? When
the service first started in '73, the Wales Bank that then became the Westpac Bank, the amount of lives with the input that they've had into the services and the services around Australia, not just our Sydney service and Maria-based service, the amount of lives that you could sort of put towards them helping to save has been amazing.
And a big surf studio welcome to Nick Marshall, joining us from Nobby's Beach Surf Club on the Gold Coast. Nick is the creator of the Albatross Nipper program, physio for the Australian lifesaving team. Nick, tell us, how did you come to be involved in lifesaving?
I was a swimmer growing up in Brisbane, and went to an all-boys private school, went to Churchie in Brisbane, and we had a kind of a core group of kids that were swimming with Mr. Carew, and they weren't necessarily Churchy kids, but they were other kind of kids my age. And we actually kind of had a bit of a mix in our swimming squad of kids that were doing surf. There was a few at Maroochydore, there was a few on the Gold Coast, but there was also a few at Met Caloundra. So at the time, the sort of core group of friends that I had that were my age were in Met Caloundra, so they dragged me to Met's on the sunny coast. And I joined up from there. I loved it. I guess having a swimming background, it made it a little bit easier for what I was always described as a brizzo to sort of fit in. And we were really, really successful as a team. And it was sort of an amazing, I guess an amazing time, because you had a group of friends in Brisbane that you might swim with or play footy with, and all of a sudden you had this other group of friends that were living up the sunny coast. So I absolutely loved it. And that was probably when I was 10 or 11. And I've obviously never left. I'm still there.
And after those experiences, what is it that has kept you in lifesaving for such a long time?
I guess it's got a bit of everything, like it's a sport. And initially that was the thing that drew me to it, and kept me in it. I wanted to be the best in, as a swimmer, or at one point I had dreams of being an Ironman as well. They never sort of came to fruition, but I had the dreams anyway. but I really enjoy that sort of structured part of it. I enjoy, that you get to train. I enjoy that it's a bit of a community event, and certainly now, wasn't the case when I was growing up, obviously living in Brisbane, but now, I live walking distance to Nobby Surf Club, where a lot of the stuff I do with coaching and obviously the Albatross Nippers and stuff. So it's kind of a community connection, I guess, is what I really enjoy about it now. But depending on sort of where I've been in, at what age, it's kind of changed a little bit. And that's what I kind of really love about it. It doesn't matter what your age you are, there's always something at the club for you.
One of the best things about Surf Lifesaving is that there is something for everybody. But now with the program that you've created, Nick, we're more inclusive than ever.
The program came about basically because I was coaching at Nobby's and at Kurrawa actually at the same time. And I had a couple of kids in the two different squads who had siblings with special needs. And so they weren't actually able to join in. We sort of made games and ways that they could join in, and they became kind of my assistant coach, and I'd whisper in their ears to yell at their brother or sister, but there wasn't really an avenue for them, I guess, to become part of Saturday or Sunday Nippers. And it sort of, I guess it made me kind of think, and I guess being a physio, I just probably had a few contacts and maybe some minor health standing within Surf Lifesaving that I was able to just do things a bit quicker perhaps than others. So there's certainly been other people that had done inclusive programs before me, and they've been fantastic. I think I just came at it from a slightly different way, and it just took off. I thought I was creating a small little group just to come down to Nobby's, and I guess, fast forward to where we are now, I've got clubs all over the country asking me, what's the protocol and what's the rules and regulations? And I think, oh, well, I'm just winging it. We're just going along with the flow and writing it as we go. So, but it's been incredible. And I guess it's only been on this journey. I just started it because I was trying to help these families. And I had one family the season before say, look, we're not going to come back next year. It's nothing to do with you or the club or anything like that. It's just, we're a bit divided as a family. We've got one sibling that can be a part of the club and one that can't. So come Nipper morning, one parent's got to go off and the other can stay. And I thought that's a real, that's a big deal, when you've got two little kids and you're part of the local community. So that probably was what was driving me. And then, it didn't take long to find other sort of bits of inspiration as we're on that journey. Just, I kept learning more about, what it's like, I guess, to have a child with special needs or being within a family of special needs. So, I get asked about these, like I'm an expert. I'm no expert at all. But I guess I'm learning like everyone else is, that it's achievable wherever you are.
And with Albatross Nippers now in the 5th season, it's just amazing to see so many people that are keen to be involved.
That's been one of those things that we talk about. Probably I guess the biggest moment we've had is when they formed the March Pass team and marched at Queensland State in 2019. And obviously, unfortunately, with everything being cancelled this year, we didn't get a chance to do it again this year. But on that particular day, I was racing around and trying to get everything done and make sure it's perfect. And it was only when you kind of suddenly slow down and a few of the parents were kind of fairly emotional and in tears saying, we never thought we'd be a part of a sport where we could all be together like this. We've driven past state titles and Aussies and thought, well, that's something we'll never be a part of. So those are those sort of moments that you think, wow, this is fantastic that they can be a part of it. They live within the area. They live through state and Aussies, on the Gold Coast, and they see all these other kids and families as a part of it. And now hopefully, they feel a part of the movement too.
One of the amazing things about Surf Lifesaving is that it's run on volunteers, and Albatross Nippers is no exception.
It's incredible. Volunteers make the movement happen. The movement doesn't exist without volunteers. We obviously need paid staff at certain levels, but the volunteers are, I guess, the heart and soul of Surf Lifesaving, and certainly the Albatross program as well. It's funny, when I started the program, people said to me, look, you'll get plenty of volunteers for that first day. You'll get plenty of volunteers so that they can be have a photo on social media or on Instagram, for the first season, and then you'll really, really struggle because it's obviously people are busy. But we've been going for 5 years now. We're across multiple beaches on the Gold Coast, and I don't think I've ever had a day where we've had less volunteers than actual Albatross kids. I've had days at Nobby's where we've had 15 Albatross kids, but 45 volunteers. It's been like 3-to-1 sort of ratio. So I think, it's about, obviously, volunteers, you want to make it an amazing experience for them, and you need to, be conscious of the fact that sometimes in those volunteer organisations, you don't want people to have a bad experience. So you want to make sure it's a fantastic experience. But if you can make it a great experience, volunteers are the lifeblood. And from my perspective, we've been blessed by the fact that enormous amounts of volunteers come down. I've never turned anyone away, but there's been times where I've thought we're just going to be a volunteer program with no kids at some point. We've got a whole bunch of people just coming down to be a part of it. So, it's amazing. And look, everyone in the Albatross program, everyone that you see in the photos, and whether they're superstars or just the local club members, everyone's a volunteer. I'm a volunteer. We're all just doing it to, improve the community and make it a better place, to live, or for you, your own family and kids to live. So can't speak highly enough of the importance of volunteers, but also the amazing volunteers that come down to Nobby Surf Club, whether they're in the surf club or in the, the surf family, that make our program happen.
And what an amazing story that is. Thank you so much to Nick Marshall, founder of the Albatross Nipper program. So great to have you on Surf Studio. Today I'm joined by Michael Henderson, the club captain of Fairhaven Surf Life Saving Club in Victoria. Tell us a little bit about Fairhaven Surf Club and the surrounding district.
Fairhaven Surf Life Saving Club is a little club down on the Victoria Surf Coast, so sort of near Anglesey and Lawnway and sort of Bells Beach, for those who aren't familiar with the area. So it's a pretty popular tourist destination on the Great Ocean Road in Victoria. So it's quite a heavy population rolling through there during the summer period.
Tell us a bit about the early days in lifesaving as a nipper, and then coming through and getting your bronze medallion. What was that like for you?
Just good fun, really. So I think the same as anyone. You sort of start out as a nipper 5 or so years of age, and with having a twin sister sort of made things easy along the way. You could just sort of go down and always have at least one person to hang out with. But sort of kept sticking at it. So progressed through nippers, surf rescue certificate, bronze medallion, and then progressively as the years went on, just sort of kept working at additional awards, kept working at different things at sort of club and at state level, and it's been a pretty fantastic opportunity the whole way through.
This week is National Volunteering Week. How important is volunteering to you and the community of Fairhaven?
For the community, it's enormously important. I think you realise how much of a hub volunteering organisations become for the community. So noticed at our club, we had a rebuild a few years ago, and just noticing when it didn't have that, even just that physical structure, you could sort of notice that it was a little bit more disconnected, and there wasn't sort of a central place for everyone to come in and meet and talk and just catch up from a social aspect, probably the biggest part. And as I said a little earlier, is all the other really fantastic work that happens sort of piggybacks off that. So you're all sort of there to achieve one goal in surf life saving, which is make sure that everyone who goes out for a swim comes back safely at the end of the day. And I think it's when you've got a group of people who are at the beach with you wearing the red and yellow that have got that same sort of common goal in mind, it's a critical thing for the community, for the club.
Is there a particular rescue or a number of rescues that stand out for you that you remember that just showed how dangerous surf beaches can be, but at the same time showed how good the skills were of you and your fellow Fairhaven Surf Club members?
It was about March last year. Was involved in a rescue that was at a nearby beach. So basically, got a call from the state command centre, LSV Comms, just saying that there was a couple of people who were stranded on a rock formation off that beach. So Probably the biggest challenge in that circumstance to begin with was sort of going into, the incident not really knowing what we were going to arrive at. So it's sort of a different challenge to when something happens that you can see and that you can kind of observe and come up with a plan of attack. We were able to say that there was a male and a female who were on the rock formation and had been out there fishing as the tide came up. I was really lucky at the time that I was with two really close friends, but also really skilled lifesavers who were operating the jet skis. I was on the back on the sled as a crew person. We sort of formulated a plan and were lucky enough to be there on the day that team of the three of us.
And how important, Michael, in that particular rescue was teamwork?
Yeah, absolutely critical. Having that team there to sort of bounce ideas off and also to discuss how we were going to get each patient off the rock was just something that you sort of learn over the years in your time in surf lifesaving. You sort of just learn to trust the people around you and the people that you work with on a daily basis.
And I believe you were a recipient of a meritorious award for that particular rescue.
Yeah, we were. So lucky enough, we were sort of nominated through the state ranks and were successful there, and then through to SLSA as well for Rescue of the Month. That was fantastic for the three of us to get that sort of recognition.
Thanks for watching Surf Studio. We would encourage you to get in touch with us to send through ideas or stories for future episodes. Contact the team via our social media channels or email us at surfstudio@slsa.asn.au.